Good afternoon, folks. Ryang Gonzales here with Becker Properties. I'm joined with Cruz, my co-host from eMortgage Capital, and my childhood friend, Joshamparan. And he is a financial advisor with New York Life. He's going to talk to us today a little bit about financial advising, what he does for his clients, how long he's been doing it. And we got a lot of good questions for him. And so, Josh, tell me a little about yourself, how you got started, your background, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so I probably have an untraditional way into finance. A lot of people go to college or, they might start at the firm, in various ways. At a high school, I was actually in radio. So I did that for 12 years and then had a career change into selling beer and then did that for 5 years. And then I got into finance. So,
all over the place.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how you get there, right?
Yeah, exactly. Now, I will say what those careers helped me to do is to just understand people. Meeting all kinds of people in radio. I did more behind the scenes stuff. I did some on-air stuff here locally in San Antonio, but meeting people that are, wealthier celebrities, those kinds of people. And, it's funny because we would have people come in and they would, fangirl, right, and get all crazy. And I'm just like, you're just another person, right? So knowing how to deal with those people. And then in beer, man, I worked all over the town selling beer. It's funny, anytime anyone brings up a bar, I'm like, oh, I used to sell them beer. But meeting, small, dive bar business owners to the big ones, and everybody in between. And so I think that's one thing that's helped me coming into finance.
I bet you made a lot of good connections doing all that stuff.
There are a lot of good connections. Yeah. I met a lot of good business owners, a lot of prominent people here in the city, that know me personally, which is nice. And I always like to go and support their establishments, whether or not they, hook me up with a free shot or free whatever. I want to support the people that I like.
Love, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so, just meeting all kinds of people and dealing with all kinds of situations, and that's really the biggest thing with what I do is just getting to know my clients and understanding their goals, their concerns, and then providing those tools and resources for them to accomplish their goals in the best, easiest way possible, the most cost-efficient way possible. And then if there's things I can't do, having a nice referral network of people that can help out, on the legal side, on the accounting side, tax side, things like that, even real estate side. Mm-hmm. Not knowing that I don't know everything, but if my clients need something, hey, I know a professional that does know things that can help them, achieve what they're trying to achieve.
So when you first started, you were selling life insurance with New York Life, but also there's a bunch of different certifications you can get to become, I guess, a more certified or better advisor.
Yeah.
And then you can start advising higher wealthy individuals, right? And what kind of doors is that open to compared to someone that's just selling life insurance or calls himself a financial advisor? Because when I did that original post and was reaching out to people, I was getting a lot of people tagged that sell life insurance, right?
Yeah.
And I know there's a difference, so maybe start there and then we'll go into the other questions.
Yeah, so New York Life is an insurance company first. A lot of what we do is centered around protection. But we are a full financial firm. So anything you can do financially on the investment insurance side, we can do. And so everyone starts off as an agent. You have to get your life and health license. You start there. But they provide you the training and the tools to get your securities licensing to do the investment side of things. And that's not always easy. There's quite a bit of tests. And even after you get licensed to sell securities, there's a lot of regulations to follow. Obviously, as you can imagine, as time goes on and people are managing other people's money, there's been some unscrupulous activities, right? So there's been a lot of rules and regulations over the years that have come out to really protect the consumer. And so that's one thing I like about our company is they require us to do these trainings, these certifications, annual trainings that go above and beyond what is required by regulations. Our company has our own internal trainings we have to do every year just to make sure we're not doing things that are not in the best interests of our clients. And with those licensing, so just to let you know, so the first one that you get is your SIE, your Securities Industry Essentials. You take that test, and that still doesn't make you eligible to sell securities. Then you have to take a top-off test, and there's all these different numbers. You might hear like Series 6, Series 7, 65, and all that. So the route I went is a Series 6, and so that lets me sell a lot of our variable products that are invested in the market, mostly through mutual funds. Then you can get your Series 7 where you do individual stocks and more advanced techniques.
That's more for like stock traders and brokers.
Yeah, like option trading. And there's just a lot of different strategies there. And so that first test is just kind of general knowledge of how things work. And then the other ones are more suitability. Like, hey, this person says X, Y, and Z. What products would you recommend to them? What are appropriate strategies for them? So it's you take those. So I did the 6 and then 63, which is a state's licensing. That's more of a law exam. And that lets me do like 529 plans and more state-based regulated products.
What does that mean? Those plans.
So a 529 plan is a college savings plan that's very tax advantaged. So you can put money in there, it grows tax free. You can get it out tax free for qualified college expenses.
That's cool.
So tuition, books, things like that.
I've got a question about that. Is it limited to a 4-year college, or could it be used for one of these schools for a trade type of degree?
Yeah, so they've actually expanded those laws in more recent years. So people can even use them for like tuition for kids that aren't even in college. So if you have someone that's in grade school that's going to a private school and needs to pay tuition, you can utilize those plans for that. There are certain limitations that you have to stay within. But yeah, you can use them for trade schools. A lot of it has changed because traditional college isn't the way anymore. I mean, not anymore, but it was like everyone has to go to college. Now
it's a lot less people going.
Yeah, when you have these programs and these trades, and the trades are huge right now.
Yeah.
That's what's really in demand.
Skilled labor, man.
Exactly.
Well, you look at what people can earn, whether it's AC work or plumbing work, just in their first year or two.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's life-changing kind of money, and people don't even think about it.
Well, and there are trades people don't want to do. They're not a social media influencer, right? They're not going to all these fancy. You're working on plumbing, right? That's not probably the funnest thing to do, but it's needed. It's necessary.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's less and less plumbers and coming into the trades.
They're aging out.
Yeah. And so now you can charge more because you're in demand, right?
Oh, I'm seeing that every time I call them over.
Yeah. And they're not charging you because they want to charge you. It's like, well, if this person is going to pay me $200 to come out,
it's the demand.
I'm going to go on this call versus the person that's going to pay me $150. I mean,
it's the nature of the business right now.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so,
I think that's going to be huge in the next couple of years with AI taking over a lot of stuff that.
Oh yeah.
The everyday person does admin stuff or social media marketing. Like you can have an AI run your social media right now. It's crazy.
Definitely.
So yeah, those skilled labor jobs, that's going to be big.
And there's a lot of programs, and what's really cool is even with locally here in San Antonio with the Alamo colleges and a lot of the universities, is there's a lot of programs designed to help these kids not only get an education, but specialize in a trade and make a really good living coming out of college.
So the parents will start this fund like really, really young, when the kids are really young, right?
They can. Obviously, so really with finance, the general rule of thumb is the earlier you start, the better. Sure. It gives you more time for your money to grow and the compound interest to work in your favor.
Here's where I've got a question.
Yeah.
So many people that I've spoken to either are misinformed or have this perception that I just don't make enough money to go talk to you.
Right.
That's a good point.
And, oh, man, I'm just barely paying the bills to get by. But it's sad because my last loan assistant, I showed her, I said, look, if you can just set aside $25 a week.
Yeah.
And over 10 years, you're going to increase that. Over 20 years, you're sitting on a couple $100,000.
Yeah.
And they don't think about that because it's literally $25. I mean, how everybody can do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when should they meet with you, and how do they get these kinds of appointments to talk to you?
So a couple of notes real quick is, there's a lot of people that don't think they're ready. And they might not be ready, right? Maybe they're trying to pay down debt or just trying to get a control on their financial situation. But, you don't know what you don't know. And so, if you're, let's say you have a toothache, right? Are you just going to put it off, or are you going to go see a dentist, right? Hey, I have a problem with this. Okay, hey, maybe we just need to do some preventative stuff. Maybe you need a root canal. Maybe it's something major. Well, that's kind of like what we do is we can see what your problem is, what hurts, and we can diagnose you. And we can say, hey, okay, this is what it is that you should be looking at doing, and here are some strategies to get you to that point. And that's one thing I tell people is they're like, well, I'm not ready. And I'm like, that's fine, but we should still sit down and talk. and I can show you what your financial situation looks like and the kinds of things to do to put you in the right situation to be able to achieve your long-term goals.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, right? You're setting up a game plan.
Yeah.
Are there some simple fundamentals? For example, hey, I'm thinking about getting married. Should we go talk to you? Hey, my wife is pregnant. We're going to probably have one kid soon and maybe another one down the road. Should I come talk to you? How does somebody go about going, hey, I like this guy. I want to meet with this guy.
Yeah.
Or how do they interview you and decide what's best for them?
Yeah, so I would say any major life event, right?
Okay.
Whether it's, even just getting a new job, like that's a life event. It's a change in your income and changing your situation. Marriage, children, buying a home, like these are all big things that are gonna potentially need some help in some regard, whether it's budgeting or whether it's protection. And so, sitting down and talking to somebody, I think really my advice to that is if you know somebody that's in finance and you trust them and you like them, talk to them, right? And again, they might not do what it is you need done, but they probably know somebody. And I guarantee you those people that you do know would love to talk to you. And it's not because they're trying to make money off of you. Yeah, this is what we do for a living, but our whole goal is to put you in a better situation than you already are. And that's one thing I love about this business is when we do planning for people, it puts them in a better situation. It gets them closer to achieving their goals. Because the longer you wait, it's the harder it's going to be and the longer it's going to take and probably the more risk you're going to have to take.
Yeah, we've met with so many people that think they're not ready, right?
Yeah.
I mean, numerous examples.
There's people that don't even think they're ready to buy a house,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but yet they're paying $2,000 a month in rent.
Yeah. You don't know what you don't know. So just like going out there and getting self-educated is the first step, I think.
Well, that's one of the things we've been talking about since we began this, Ryan, is
And that's why we wanted to do it.
go talk to somebody. Just because you think you know the answer doesn't necessarily mean you do. Just because mom and dad said this is the way it goes
Right.
doesn't mean that that's the only option. I mean, we have always preached, talk to one of us, talk to somebody here,
Yeah.
because we're going to have some answers that maybe are a little different than what you've been taught or heard. I had a guy the other day debate with me whether or not, paying off your home is the right thing to do, and I disagreed with him. And he's like, oh, well, you don't follow Dave Ramsey. I said, no, absolutely not. I said, but this is also why I own 4 houses.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to follow Dave Ramsey. I would be the poorest person in the room if I did.
And about him, doesn't he own like a lot of real estate himself? And I'm sure he uses debt as leverage. And,
It's funny how that works, right?
So
And kind of on that note, because I do come across people that talk about Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman, all these other people that give financial advice. And their strategies aren't necessarily wrong, but are they appropriate for your situation?
They're not a fit for everybody.
Exactly.
And they come across as if their way is the only way
Right. And you know what? It is the way for some people.
for them.
And if it works for some people, and some people will swear by it, and that's great. But it's who you're talking to, and that's really what we do with our clients is get to know them and understand their situation. Because what I might recommend to Ryan isn't what I'm going to recommend to you.
Ryan's not inheriting, $500,000 when he turns 18.
Right.
Or I'm not inheriting $10. I mean, everybody's situation is going to be different. Some of us are high income earners. Some of us aren't. Some of us have kids.
Yeah.
So talking with you, I think, really is huge.
Yeah, and kind of go back to that. Like Ryan and I are close to the same age. I met him through his brother. That we're the same age, but him and I have completely different situations. I have 2 kids. He doesn't have any kids, right? He's a business owner. I have my practice, but I don't have outside businesses, right? So why would something that's appropriate for me be appropriate for Ryan, right? He doesn't need the things I need, and I don't need the things he needs. And so that's where that introduction meeting happens, is we get to know each other, and it works both ways. Like, do I want to work with a lot of people and help out as many people as possible? Yeah, but sometimes it's not the right fit.
Well, I met a woman just a couple of weeks ago. Her practice is so large. Her clientele are multimillionaires.
Yeah.
She doesn't have the bandwidth to go talk to somebody that makes $50,000 a year.
Right.
I get it. She said, but I can give them to somebody that can.
Right.
So when somebody wants to meet with you, do you think that there's a certain income that they should be earning before they schedule that appointment?
You know, and I get that question a lot. What are your minimums, right? And of course, you know, as an advisor, you want to work with higher net worth people and do advanced planning. Yes, it does yield larger commissions, but the more complicated the situation is, that's where I have fun. Is like, you know, I always say I love puzzles and I'm stubborn, so I'm going to figure your situation out, right?
Cool.
Now, when it comes to people that might not make, you know, be, you know, over six figures, you know, maybe they're, you know, at, you know, middle class, lower middle class, you know, I don't mind trying to help them out, because that's where I came from, right? I came from a family that my dad worked very, very hard to provide for us. You know, fortunately, we didn't go without, but we weren't living an extravagant lifestyle. And actually, you know, it was so great. I didn't even know we were poor until years later, until I was a teenager. And I was like, oh, wow, we didn't have a lot. But, you know, my father worked really hard, and my mother too worked really hard to provide for us. And so I'll meet with those people, and if I can help them out, it might be a couple of things, right, depending on the situation and the budget. But that's where I have partners in our office. There's agents that I mentor that we'll work with them together, where, okay, again, going to that bandwidth thing, right? I don't have time for everybody. I mean, it's tough even managing my book of business. I inherited a book of business last year. I have a business partner. He's got his book. We got 2 other books. Like, we have 5 books of business plus new clients we're onboarding. I mean, it's a lot. And then marketing and networking and doing things like this podcast. It
And
takes
children and time and life.
So there are other agents that do have the time. They need that experience. So we bring them in. We help our clients and help the agents at the same time. That way they can learn our systems, our processes. I mean, there's so many situations, and it's funny. Last year I was like, man, I've seen it all, and in the last 6 months I've seen things I haven't seen before.
So what I'm hearing is, whether I'm 18 and going to college and maybe I know I'm going to make a lot of money, or maybe I'm 25, 28 and I'm making some decent money, life's changing, I could still call you, and then you can connect me with somebody that would be a good fit for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, I will probably be involved in the process some way, shape, or form, especially if it's someone that I have a personal relationship with, right? Then I'll probably, take that on more myself. But yeah, utilizing other people that are a better fit. And there's certain things, like with my partner and I do, he's more on the accumulation side. So he likes building out portfolios, and I like that too, but I can lose a lot of time trying to fine tune a portfolio, where I can give it to him and he's a little bit more knowledgeable on some of these other funds that we have, and he'll crank that out a lot quicker than I could. I like focusing on the distribution side of money. So making sure that when you get to retirement, we're not going to run out of money in retirement, making sure that your money's growing for you as tax efficient as possible, and dealing with Social Security, Medicare, things like that. Now I can do it all for my clients. There's some clients that I do for, especially the ones that started with me early on. I feel responsible to them because they bought into me early on.
They trusted you.
Yeah, but if we're doing a joint client, usually I'm like, okay, he's the accumulation, I'm the distribution, and then we even have other people that we might turn to for long-term care, right? That's a big need for people in retirement, for disability income. And then different groups, right? There's one girl we're mentoring that she's former military, right? So we can help out with her, and she can relate to those people. We can bring the knowledge and expertise there. There's one guy that's business owners, right? He that's the world he came from. We have young professionals that, they're in their mid-20s. They can relate to people that are also in their mid-20s that are maybe higher earners, but trying to figure out what to do with their money. So, there's a lot of different situations, but having those people on our team to really focus and understand our clients. And that's the biggest thing, is just knowing the person, relating to them, building that rapport, and then providing them with the tools necessary to achieve their goals.
And to start this investing with you, investing in those mutual funds to the life insurance like you set me up with, what are the minimums, more or less? What is people think they got to put away thousands a month? So, maybe you can break that down or kind of give an example of that.
Yeah, so depending on the account, there are different minimums, and depending what you're trying to do. Fortunately, There are ways where if you have $100 a month, or even less, we can work with you to get to that point. And again, it might not be something with us. It might be like, hey, we need to save up some money on the side and build up till we can start really buying into these funds or utilizing these products.
But it really doesn't cost too much, right?
No.
I mean, you can start with a couple $100, right?
Yeah.
Which that's like $25 to $50 a week.
And
So let's just say that somebody has $5,000 and can do a couple $100 a month.
Yeah.
That could start a pretty good plan, right?
Yeah. A lot of the plans we look at, usually it's about $2,000 to start.
Oh gosh.
So, and then it even goes lower than that. I don't like to do this other. I mean, you can start with $1,200. Now that
But there's other
requires-
plans.
There's
options.
And if you don't even have that, like there are other options now. Again, right, utilizing these tools that are the most appropriate depending on the situation. But yeah, if you start with $2,000, and you can do a couple $100 a month, especially if you're young. I mean, that's going to yield you so many dividends over time. I mean, if you look at it, it's funny because so I take a lot of, I'm currently in courses for my CHFC, that's Chartered Financial Consultant. It's essentially like your bachelor's in finance.
Nice.
And there's a lot of different scenarios and examples, and one of them shows that person A was 25 and invested for 7 years, X amount of dollars. Person B, right, started at that 7-year mark at 32 and invested till 65. Which person do you think has more money? Well, it's person A that invested for 7 years. Why? Because not only did they start earlier, but they had more time for that
The compound
money to
growth is going to be
accumulate.
bigger. Yeah.
And so, there's an interesting rule. It's called the rule of 72. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's really simple. You take 72 divided by an expected interest rate. So the number I like to use is 9. 72 divided by 9 gives you 8. It means in every 8 years, if you get 9% rate of return on your money, every 8 years your money is going to double. So imagine if you start at 20. So 20, 28, 36, 44, 52, 60, 68, right? Your money's going to double over all those intervals. Well, if you start 8 years late, right, your money's still going to double 8 years later, but you're going to miss that last double that other person got.
Yeah.
So instead of having 500,000 or having $1 million, you have 500,000 because you started later than the other person, right? That's the difference. You're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars.
Just for a few years.
Yeah, just for 7, 8, 9 years. So when someone who's 18 for sure. My youngest client, he's about 1.5 right now. That's what his parents started a plan for him.
Yeah.
And $200 a month. The plan we did for him gives him a couple of different growth options. There's a guaranteed side and an invested side in the market. And by the time he's 65, right, and part of the money is for college. That's what a lot of parents I work with, it's college. But what if your kid's smart enough, athletic enough? What if they're, with these programs that the city is doing, you can get free education potentially. Well, what do you do with that money? Well, great, now they have a head start. If you let it grow uninterrupted for 60 years, 65 years,
Oh God.
I mean, he can pull out over $200,000 a year when he's 65 for the rest of his life. And that, I mean, that's awesome, right? Who wouldn't want $200,000 a year? And the way we're doing it is that money's going to come out tax-free, income tax-free.
Right.
So imagine what
It's
you
already
could do with that.
pre-tax, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that's an
pre-tax.
after-tax account.
Yeah.
So it's already, the money's been taxed and it's in a vehicle that grows tax advantage where it doesn't grow on the gain or the growth. And so, you think about that, a lot of people, I'll figure it out. They start in their 30s, their 40s, and then they want to retire at 60, 65. Well, now you got 20 years of growth. It's still time, but it's going to cost you a lot more money to get to that bigger number.
I started at 35 when I got with you.
Yeah. And what's really nice, and not to get too much in your situation, but we've had to utilize these accounts and it's given you flexibility to be able to do it depending on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the other thing is having a plan that you're not locked into, that you can't access, that is going to penalize you or cause you fees, right? No one wants to pay fees. No one wants to get penalized, especially by the IRS.
I've got a comment or more of a question. What's your opinion of a 401k versus going through other resources to build wealth growth?
So there's going to be a general answer and then a more specific answer.
I want the adult mean answer. Yeah.
So I'm going to sound like a lawyer here, but it depends, right?
Okay.
401ks are a good tool. I know I see stuff, and talking a little bit, you mentioned about misinformation, right? You see stuff on social media all the time, and people are like, don't contribute to a 401k, or don't do this, or don't do that, because I did it this way. And like, great, that's awesome for you that you did it that way, but that doesn't mean, again, kind of go into these, financial people that you see on TV or, online, that doesn't mean that's right for everybody. So, one thing I will say that I like about 401ks, if you get a match, right? I mean, that's double your money right there.
Here's the thing.
That's so sick, the matches.
Here's the thing, though, and here's my question. So I spent the better part of 30 years working for companies that offered 401ks. And, at the end of the year, they would only match a certain percentage based on whatever they felt their profit number was or their goal was. And so I was contributing 10, 15, 20% of my paycheck sometimes.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine said, why?
Right.
Why aren't you just putting in the minimum to get the minimum match?
Right.
And take that other chunk of money and invest it somewhere else?
Yeah.
And the light bulb kind of went on for me. It flickered. It took a little while. but because it went against everything that I was taught or told.
Exactly.
So what would be the other vehicle you would invest it in?
Real estate. I'd have bought houses earlier. I'd have kept more houses.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I say everyone should have at least 3 to 5 accounts that are generating the money, because these things, even real estate, right? That can be an account, if you will.
Yeah.
It generates you money, but it does it in a different way, and it requires different things of you, different time, amounts of time for you to generate that money. And so that's what we look at as like, okay, hey, let's maximize this account, right? Hey, let's get the match, right? Double our money. And then you still have excess dollars. Well, maybe we'll look at a different account to grow your money in a similar but different way. And then maybe a third account and a fourth account and so forth. And that way you have, right, different streams of income. So that way, no matter what happens, taxes go up, taxes go down, you're going to take from the account that's going to give you the most advantage there. Interest rates go up or down. Inflation goes up or down, right? And inflation is probably not going down anytime
It's pretty low.
Anytime soon.
I mean, we're always going to have inflation, but at the pace it's been going the last few years has been crazy, and it's getting better, but that's another conversation. But depending on what's going on at the time, you can utilize different accounts for different things. And so I never go in with everyone should have this or that. Are there accounts that benefit most people? Yeah, right. 401ks, that's a very common plan that's offered. Should you invest in it? Probably. I don't know unless I know your situation. If you're getting a match, probably not a bad idea. But above the match, maybe look at something like a Roth IRA, right? That grows, it's after-tax dollars, it grows tax-free, you get the money out tax-free. But do I tell everyone they should invest in a Roth? I mean, it's a pretty common tool, but not always, right? There's different things with life insurance. There's brokerage accounts, right? There's, and then even the different versions of the 401ks. People look at solo 401ks or self-directed IRAs and 401ks and things like that. And some of it for real estate purposes.
There's so many different options.
So let me ask you a question. Yeah. Let's say myself. I'm 54 years old. Let's say I have a very poor plan. It's all in real estate. I could sit down, tailor a plan with you. Mm-hmm. My wife and I could agree on it, and then execute that plan. At what point do you step back in and start saying, hey, it's time to adjust here, it's time to adjust there? How does that work?
So what we really try to do is have annual reviews with our clients.
Okay.
And that way, if nothing changed, fine. But, it's not just looking at the plan and how you're tracking. Definitely want to inform our clients, hey, this is what happened the last year. And even if whether it's real estate investments, hey, how do you feel about how this is going? But life happens, life changes, things happen. There's medical events, there's life events, an unexpected child. I get a call from a client, hey, we're having another baby. And they were like, we only have the one and we're not going to have another one. Well, now there's another baby. And oh, hey, now we have this puppy. And oh, hey, we're getting a bigger house, right? All this stuff that happened within a year, that wasn't the plan. So we review that, and then not only reviewing it, but updating the information.
New strategies, new tools?
Well, no, I just mean just like, addresses, phone numbers, emails, but beneficiaries. My uncle passed away suddenly from a heart attack. Well, he had never took his ex-wife off his life insurance. So now she got half of it, and my cousins had to split the other half.
Oh, wow.
And they weren't happy about that.
Nobody's happy about that.
He never updated it because he never thought to. And so that's the first thing I do with my clients when we review stuff is everything up to date. And again, things
protecting
change.
your family.
Yeah. And then, so I have another client, her daughter just turned 18. And so she'd wanted to make her the primary beneficiary. I was like, well, let's wait till she's 18 because when you're a minor, you can't just give money to minors. It's going to go through probate unless you have a minor's account set up or a trust. And so her sister was a beneficiary. Well, she turned 18. I call her. I'm like, hey, do you still want to do this? She's like, oh, I totally forgot. Yeah, let's do it.
So you were proactive.
Oh, yeah.
Knowing.
Yeah.
See, that's involved.
That's what I asked her. I was like, when's her birthday? And it was like the end of July. So I actually called her last week. And I was like, yeah, I put it in my calendar. Hey, call to update beneficiaries, right? And I called her and she's like, oh, yeah. And it took me not even 5 minutes, right? A couple of clicks, move stuff around, update. It sent her an email. She approved it. Now her beneficiary is set the way she wants it now that her daughter's an adult, a legal adult. So it's little things like that that could be a huge difference, especially when it comes to leaving beneficiaries money. Because everyone, you know, at the time, everyone's playing nice, but especially when it comes to like siblings, when stuff is being handed out to parents, those things can get really, really ugly unless there's a defined plan in place. And that's where we use partners like attorneys to set up trusts, right?
So you can set up even wills?
I can't personally, no.
But I mean, that's within your scope, right? Your group.
Yeah, I have referral partners
okay.
that I can say, hey, talk to these. You know, I gave at least 3 referrals. There's probably like 5 estate planning attorneys.
I think you set up the will for my folks, I think. Or
I referred her. Yeah,
I know you talked about it. Well,
yeah.
Not you personally, but yeah, I think you.
Yeah, and so you know, there's people that I like, and again, and then these estate planning attorneys are all different. Some of them are higher net worth. Some can do these easier wills. Some of them do more complicated. You have. You know, living trust, irrevocable trust, special needs trust. Like that's a big thing that we're seeing a lot is parents with special needs kids. How do we take care of our kids, but do it in a way that they're not going to lose their benefits that they get from the government? And you got to be careful about
shielding
it.
and protecting.
And then even people on Medicaid, right? You know, I have a lady that I inherited. Her original agent's no longer with the company, so she got assigned to me, and her life policy was preventing her from getting her Medicaid benefits. And so we had to go through and look at the way we need to set things up so that way she can still qualify, because obviously she's not working. She doesn't have income, right? So she needs these benefits to survive. And she has this policy that's making her ineligible. Okay, what do we need to do? You know, and that was another learning process for me. Because, you know, usually people that are seeking financial advice aren't people that are going to be on Medicaid. You got to spend down a lot of assets to be on Medicaid. You have to basically have nothing.
Yeah.
And so, you know, again, all these situations are different. And so how do we navigate the rules legally, right? Not trying to do anything illegal, but legally. How do we navigate these rules legally and take advantage of the things you can take advantage of? And even in real estate, right? You know, a lot of people that are real estate professionals are probably not taking advantage of all of the tax opportunities they have available to them because they just don't know.
Tax saving.
Yeah, and it's not just tax deductions. It's like the ways you can set things up, right? How do you establish your business, your LLC, S corp, C corp, all these kinds of different entities? How do we do it to use the tax code to your advantage? And the tax code just changed, right? With the big beautiful bill that passed last month. It's so funny. So for that designation I'm taking, the course I was taking was income taxation. And I had to learn all these rules and all these thresholds and how all these things work. I take the test. It's July 3rd. It's a Thursday morning I take the test. And I ended up passing the course, which was awesome because I did not like that course. I was like, there's a reason why I'm not an accountant or a CPA. Yeah. That's a hard job.
Then that bill just came into effect.
That bill gets passed like maybe an hour after I finished the test. Everything changed. Mm-hmm. Some of the thresholds stayed or were extended, but a lot of stuff changed. There's things you can do now. There's different tax advantages. And so understanding how the tax code can work in your favor is huge, because the government's not going to tell you don't have to pay taxes on that if you do this, right? They want their tax money, right? So working with a professional, and again, I don't know everything about tax. I know a lot about taxes, but that's where I refer to you a CPA or an accountant. Yeah. And then even then, like my tax guy that I use is not the tax person I'm recommending for a business owner. Not that he's not capable, but that's just not his wheelhouse, right? He's not doing these ultra complicated strategies. And you do have firms and you do have people that are like, hey, our minimum is $5 million because our fees for the service we provide don't make sense if you don't make that much. And that's great for those clients that I have that are in that range that need their services. I recommend them. I'm not going to recommend my personal guy because my my situation's a little complicated, but not overly complicated for my CPA.
We just had Jose Rios in here the other week. He's a tax strategist. That dude's really experienced. Like, you can tell he knows a lot. He kind of gave us a little bit of insight on what's changed and what's new now versus what was. And I think he gave us some really good advice.
It was definitely painful to hear.
It was eye-opening.
It was painful to hear what we weren't doing, what we could have been doing, or what we should have been doing. Yeah. That was hard to hear.
Yeah, you don't know until you know.
Yeah.
And so that's why you should not be afraid to talk to a professional, right? Even if it's not the right time, or maybe you can't afford that professional at the time, knowing these things is costing you money. And so one thing that I do is I provide, a planning for a fee, right? You have to pay a planning fee to utilize some of the services and software that I have. And at the end of the day, that fee shouldn't cost you anything, because yes, it is a cost, but what you're going to get out of it is going to be beyond that, right? With the tax strategies.
It's an investment, not a cost.
Yeah, exactly. Like anyone you put on payroll, if you will, right? If I hire an assistant, that person shouldn't cost me money. They should be helping me generate even more money. There's a great book that I read. It's called 10X is Easier Than 2X. And it talks about not only doing the things that you really like to do that help generate you revenue, but putting people in the right places around you, whether it's an assistant that's helping you keep track of your schedule, whether it's someone in marketing that's helping to market your brand and brand you, whether it is an office admin or an accountant, right? These people are going to help you. They cost you money, but they help you generate even more money. And if you do it right, it's not a cost, it's an investment, right? It's helping you free up your time and your bandwidth to be able to do the things that you're really good at and maximize your skills and maximize your income. And that's even for the average person. There's people that I talk to and they have spreadsheets and they know this, that, and the other. And my first question is, do you enjoy tracking all of this yourself? And some people do. They love it. They love to know exactly where all their money is and what's happening with it. And that's great. How can I support that? But there's some people that don't. They have families, they have careers. Like, I don't have time to do this. Okay, well, that's where I can come in and say, okay, this is where, I can step in, I can help you in these areas and take some things off your plate, so you do have more free time for your family. So you do have more free time to pursue your hobbies and passions that you really want to do.
Can you give us some examples, what's changed on your side with the new bill that passed as far as tax savings and thresholds and stuff like that? Just an example, kind of what you're looking at now.
So I would say one thing we were looking at was the reduction of the estate tax threshold. That was going to be cut in half, and that got extended. So we've had to pivot some of that planning. We were preparing for that. How do we get more money out of the tax code legally, as especially gets passed on to beneficiaries? With the bill, it extended those thresholds and some other things that are going to allow you to do some strategies that, hey, who knows what's going to happen with the next administration or maybe the one following. Maybe this lasts for a few years and then they change it, right? Well, what planning can we do now to put you in a good situation? That way, if it does change, you're prepared. And if it doesn't change, well, then it didn't hurt you to do the planning. So a lot of it, one big thing that's been talked about a lot is Roth conversions, where people have like a 401k or an IRA. Maybe they don't need the income, but at some point the government's going to make you start taking out that money, your required minimum distributions. And you might not need the money. So how do we maybe over time slowly move your money from the pre-tax side to the after-tax side and do it in a favorable tax environment, which we're in right now? We're in the lowest tax brackets in our country's history. So that's where sometimes some people, it makes sense. We don't like paying taxes. Sometimes it makes sense just to pay your taxes now before they go up in the future.
Right.
And now you're paying more taxes later on when you could have paid less taxes today. And so, all these thresholds, they affect people differently, especially business owners and the things they're trying to do to get deductions, right? Payroll taxes, all these things. So it's just, I think some of it's beneficial for the sense that some of these things got extended so we can continue to do the planning that we've already started doing. and not having to revert to the previous tax code, and now we're a little more limited. There's higher thresholds for things now, and a lot of things are getting adjusted because of inflation. They're letting you put in more or do more because it's like, things cost more now.
And are you using AI for a lot of your stuff that you do, the day-to-day stuff, or your partner? How does AI help you right now compared to a couple years back when you first started?
Man, AI is a game changer if you're trying to learn it and utilize it. It's funny because we see all the like from the Terminator, right? Skynet, like it became self-aware. Like, could that happen? Maybe, right? You can get this, dystopian future where
heard a couple of like crazy stories already, right? With AI.
Yeah, but AI is still a machine and it's got its parameters. And I've tried to test AI to see, like, can I break its parameters? And you can't. I mean, like, you might, if you're smart enough and you know how to do it, maybe. I'm not at that level, but I've tested AI where I'm trying to like, hey, what can I get out of this that maybe it's not programmed to do? I haven't been successful, but also, I don't.
Chat
it's not
GPT
what I do.
or other.
So I use Chat GPT a lot. What's really cool is our company actually just last week assigned us, like, are giving us Chat GPT accounts for us to use. Now, part of that is
I like how they learn. They learn all about you.
If you prompt them,
have them ask you questions about yourself, and then they start like every answer is geared towards that individual.
But that's the thing is you got to know how to train it, right?
Yeah.
It's like training a dog, right? Like, hey, how do I get this dog to sit, to stay, to do whatever tricks, right? It takes time, it takes effort. You got to know how to talk to it. I really like AI. I put some things in AI, and I try to be careful, especially with like your Chat GPTs, because any information you put in there becomes part of its database, and so you don't want to put people's personal information on there. So I don't put in like people's names, obviously not their socials or addresses, but you can use general information. Oh, male, age 35, right? This, that, and the other, and ask some questions, run some scenarios, even see what's been going on with the markets. And, they can scan so many things. There's a newsletter I get.
Just like that, dude.
Yeah, it's quick. There's a newsletter I get, and it's an AI-generated financial newsletter. And the AI generates it. I get it every morning. And it just tells you what's happening in the economy, what's happening around the world, big stock movements, things to watch, things like that. And
that's awesome.
It's interesting because it keeps you up on it. But to generate that, now that they have it set up, obviously it probably took them a while at first. But
do you send those out to your clients?
That one I can't. But there are things that I do send to my clients.
Send it to me on the low.
If I didn't send you the one, I sent one out last month. If I didn't send it to you,
we're also friends, so we go way back. So
yeah, I got you.
Nah. That's really, really cool. I mean, but it's super informative. Do you do anything like that?
No, but I will now.
Yeah,
yeah. And again, there's a lot of information out there, right? One what's the source, right? Because anyone can create a newsletter through AI. I can type in a prompt and say, hey, make me a financial newsletter that talks about X, Y, and talks about real estate in finance, right? And it can generate it in minutes. And then I can distribute it to my clients. And it looks legit. But am I a real estate professional? I'm probably not the most versed person to talk about real estate. I know some stuff, but I'm not the guy you're going to go to look at some of these strategies. I might know the tools to use for the strategies. So you just got to be careful where the information's coming from.
Sure.
If you can find a reputable source, and then subscribe to their newsletters, or I send so I get something every quarter, and it talks about the previous quarter and what's coming up towards Q3, Q4, and I send those to my clients. I'm just like, hey, these are things to know about, right? What's happening with the government, the bill that passed, what's inflation looking like, what are some things to keep an eye on. That way they have a little bit more information. It's not long, it's like a 2-pager, so it's not bad. But there are things that we can send to our clients more often just to keep them up to date. And then some clients want to know about different things. And so, I can make a group and say, hey, okay, these people want to know about these specific industries, right? Oil and gas, right? I have people that are in energy. Okay, I want to know more about what's going on in the energy industry. People that are in healthcare, right? What's happening with healthcare. I think, again, one great example of AI is healthcare, right? It's helped so many advance healthcare to a great degree, but you still need someone watching it, monitoring it. And then not only that, you get the information. Well, great, you have information. You got to do something with the information.
I kind of want to talk about this year's stock market. It's been pretty crazy. I know you keep a close eye on the stock market. I mean, we all do, right? But you being in finance or, financial advisor, we had like a 20% dip. What was it, March, April timeframe?
April, yeah.
And then now we're back up and we're past our all-time highs that we were previously. So it's been a roller coaster with the stock market a little bit. Anybody who did invest when it was down like that, oh man, they're sitting pretty right now. Did you advise any of your clients during that time to put some more money into their investments accounts, or were you kind of just waiting it out and see what happens?
So generally, right, you don't want to time the market, as we say, right? It's not about timing the market; it's about time in the market. And so anybody that was investing for the long term, the really general rule of thumb is just stay the course, right? Hey, we just want to, just make your monthly contributions, right? And mark it up, mark it down, it doesn't matter. Because over time, the market's going to go up.
Sure.
Now, there are some people that are a little bit more strategic and want to take that risk of, hey, should I go to cash? Should I pull out? Should I invest in these things? When that happened, I remember it was a Friday, when the market was going down pretty bad. And it was all because of the tariff talks, right? It was tariffs this, tariffs that, and the market got real volatile. I called my biggest clients, and one of them was like, "Oh, it'll come back, it'll be fine." She was like, "I'm just going to keep investing." Great, awesome, right? I called my other client. He was like, "Oh yeah, I saw that." He's like, "But I'm busy at work. Like, I got to call you later," right? He didn't have time to talk to me about the market. He talked to me that evening. He was like, "Oh yeah, no." He's like, "No, we're fine. Like, we're just going to keep with the strategy," right? And that's the biggest thing, is not trying to pivot. And I've come across clients that are trying to, should I go to this fund or should I go to that fund? And every time they change, right? So like, for example, there was a couple that, because of what happened in April, they went less aggressive. Well, what happened to the market? It came back.
They missed all the opportunity.
Missed out on all that return. If they just would have just done nothing, they would have been in a way better situation than they're at now. They're not in a horrible situation, but they would have gotten all their money back.
Yeah.
So then they go back to more aggressive. Well, now you sold low and you bought high. And now they're like, well, should we go international? And I'm like, you should stop doing things. You should pick a strategy and stay with that strategy and look at it, right? We're not changing portfolios.
It really is about time in the market.
Yeah. And we're not changing portfolios every month. Like, if you want to do that, that's something we should do on the side, not with your long-term money.
Yeah. And that's why whenever you're advising people, and when we're talking about the S&P, we're talking about an annual rate, like an average annual rate, maybe 8 to 10% a year, something like that, right?
On the 10-year average, 8 to 10%.
And so people just got to see that. I mean, look at history, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're eventually going to make money on your money if you stay the course. Same thing with real estate.
Yeah.
Even though real estate has, gone down a little bit in some areas have not. Some areas are still going up, but just a lot slower pace. Even with interest rates as high as they are right now.
So even like with real estate, like when prices go down, what does that signal? That's a good time to buy, right? I can buy this home that was $400,000. I actually saw one the other day near my neighborhood that I really liked, and I was like, man, I wish
you got my number.
Yeah. Well, I was like, I wish I had the money I needed to put down for it, but it was
I can help you get that.
Well, yeah,
talking to the right people here.
But it was like over $400,000. Now it's at $350. 4-bedroom, 2,600 square feet, beautiful house. I was like, this is a great deal right now.
Buyers are getting killer deals. Well, not only that, they're getting the incentives too.
Exactly.
From either builders or the sellers themselves. Sellers are having to pretty much pay closing costs every single time.
Yeah.
And not even just the closing costs, but sometimes the rate buy down too.
Yeah.
So buyers are really benefiting off this.
We talked about this, just the math, right? So if I get a $400,000 house and the seller chips in 15 grand, whether I get it at a high rate or not, that money that I'm going to pay in the higher rate over a year, when that market shifts and that seller isn't giving away 15 grand anymore, you're not going to make it up.
No.
Yeah.
That 15 grand up month, that's free money.
It's big time. That's big time.
Absolutely. And so like that with real estate, right? It's the same thing in the market. When the market's down, no one likes to see their account value lower than it was. But you know what? Probably not a bad time to buy. I'm not saying put all your money in there, but hey, maybe
diversify.
Yeah. And there's ways. If you really believe in the economy, right? It'll come back. It goes up and down, up and down. But the last, in 22, it was down like, I think it was like 30 something percent. The last 2 years, 23 and 24 was up over 20%. This year, I was thinking, so I have to say, we don't predict the future, right? We prepare for the future.
I want to ask you these questions, yeah.
But I had a feeling, I was like, man, there's got to be a correction coming. And we saw that in April. Now, was that going to be a prolonged correction or was it going to be quick? And it was quick, right? It's come back and it hit some highs. It came back down last week, right? It's
Some
volatile.
people think there's going to be another correction and a bigger one.
I feel like there has to be, just by looking at the history of the stock market, right? There's got to be. You're not going to have up years every single year. And what's crazy is since 08, right? 08 was like a really bad year, especially if you're retiring. That was a horrible year to retire.
We all remember 08.
But if you either started investing in 08 or stayed invested in 08, that run since 08 has been amazing. We haven't seen a lot of down years. COVID obviously, hurt. But then that came back, right? And it's funny because I remember people were like, I'm buying this and I'm buying that. And everyone thought they were an investment genius. It was like, we invested in anything during COVID. You made money. Because the world was basically shut down.
You weren't smart. You just got lucky.
Yeah. And then, a year and a half later, they were even or under. And it was like, yeah, you weren't as smart as you thought you were.
That's when I kind of started dabbling in the stock market. And I was just buying stocks that I thought, might potentially go up. And not putting a whole bunch of money in it. But after...
Having fun.
After everything got settled down with COVID and stuff like that, the market shot straight up, and that was quick.
Yeah, and so it came back. I mean, it went up, right? It came back down in 22, and people, if they got out of the market at that point because they were like, well, I'm barely above my investment or I broke even, I don't want to lose. Well, you lost out these last 2.5 years, almost 3 years of just tons of growth, record highs. So why are you getting out when you can stay in? And then if this isn't your profession, right? If you work a 9 to 5, if you're in another industry, do you have time to watch the market all day, every day? No. I'm in the industry and I don't watch the market all day. I keep an eye on it. I get alerts. I get things that tell me what's happened, but that's not what I do, right? We have people that do that for us.
Does your firm offer strategies or coaching for digital currencies?
No. So through the Securities and Exchange Commission laws, I cannot advise, recommend, or not recommend something that I don't sell. And our company does not sell cryptocurrency. So we do not advise on it. Generally talking, right, cryptocurrency is very new. And as you've seen, there's a lot of volatility with it. And so it's still considered a speculative investment. And so if someone wants to buy cryptocurrency, right, I have no problem with that, right? That's your money. You can do what you want with your money. But I liken it to going to Vegas, right? Like if you go to Vegas, do you take your mortgage money to Vegas and gamble it? No, that wouldn't be wise. But do you take some money that you're like, well, if I lose it, I lose it, right? That's really how you should look at cryptocurrency, because you could lose it. But there's a lot of people winning. And it's kind of like the .com bubble, where if you had a .com, people were throwing money left and right at you, right? And so many of those .coms just didn't make it. But there were a few winners, right? You see like companies like Amazon, right? If you invested in Amazon early, man, you're sitting pretty. If you invested it and you held it, you're sitting pretty. So yeah, there's going to be some winners, right? Who those winners are, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Bitcoin looks strong, right? Ethereum looks strong, and there's some smaller coins. But I think what you've seen in the last couple of years are what I call rug pulls, right? These people hype up a coin, they get it super high, and the people that originally started it, they sell all their coins, the coin crashes, and a lot of people lost money except for the people who started it, right?
That was happening a lot with the NFTs.
Yeah, it's just a lot of hype. And then there comes into, money laundering, right? And that's a big thing with the SEC, right? Is obviously they don't, I cannot assist in money laundering knowingly or unknowingly.
Why not?
Right? We can't, we are not washing dirty money, right? But it happens unknowingly. But that's what you've seen with, cryptocurrency and NFTs. Like, who's going to pay $50,000 for a picture of a rock, right? And then sell it for a loss? But if you're money laundering, like, you don't care. Like, you got what you needed to get out of it. You sold, you put money in it, you sold it, you got money out, and your money's clean now.
I would say educate yourself on cryptocurrency. There's a lot.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of potential rug pulls out there, and these smaller coins that people are hyping up. I've seen that too.
But it's a little creepy because there are people that I know that are educated that they are obsessed with crypto.
Oh yeah.
And they will. I had a buddy of mine tell me, "Oh, you know that the gold's going to go away. We're gonna go to some crypto coin by November." I'm like, "No, we're not. Gold is not going away."
So I do want to bring somebody in here that is an expert in crypto and knows a little bit about crypto, so we can interview them, because I want to hear their point of view too. Are you personally invested in it, or can you tell me? Or?
No, that's not my strategy right now.
Okay.
I would say though that a couple things to keep in mind on crypto is, one, if you look at like Bitcoin and some of these larger coins, like, who are the biggest investors, the biggest holders of those coins, right? They're not individuals. They're countries and they're corporations. So do you think that they're going to miss out on these opportunities? No, right? They're going to take advantage of these opportunities as well, but they're going to have more influence on what happens with those
100%.
things. And that's why you see these big swings, right? And that was my thought coming into this year is we've had 2 great years. Eventually these bigger players, whether it is, companies, corporations, they're going to take their gains, right? And then the market's going to go down, and then they're going to buy back in when it's lower, right? That's just the basics
Manipulating
of
the
investing.
market, right?
Right, and technically, no one's supposed to be able to manipulate the market, but when you have billions of dollars invested and you make a move, it's gonna cause a change, and that's why there's rules to try to prevent that. But obviously,
That's why crypto is still the Wild West.
right?
The rules aren't catching up.
It's not regulated.
Yeah.
They're trying to regulate it. They're doing it to a degree, but there's only so much they can do, and that's why they want to regulate it. The other thing I would say, just on coins, there's a cool website. I think it's Coin Market Cap, and you could see, right, how many coins are available. And if you just do the math, because my cousin, he showed me one time, he's like, "Oh, I have all these coins." He's like, "If one of them just hits a penny, I'm a millionaire." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, you and everybody else. But look at the market cap, right? That one penny, if you have, trillions of coins out there and you hit a penny, I mean, just do the math. There's going to be more money in that coin than there is in the entire world. Does that just logically make sense? Right? So that might not be the coin to invest in, right? Bitcoin, it's limited, right? There's a limited amount of coins, and there's a cap
And
that
that's
it can
why
go
it's
to.
the strongest coin right now, by
Yeah,
far.
and it's just like anything, supply and demand, right?
Do you think that we have a chance of switching over to a digital currency at any time in the next 5 to 10 years?
Completely, probably not. Just so if you look at the people that have money right now, right? Where's most of the wealth? And I'm not saying a certain class, but just age wise, right? It's older people that have wealth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they're gonna adopt to that? Like, I just talked to a lady yesterday, and she's in her 70s, and she's like, I'm not really good with technology. I'm trying to be better at it, but like that's where the wealth is, and they're not going to adopt to that. There's people, like, I hardly ever carry cash, but there's people that they always have cash on them, right? And those are your older people, that have money. Are they going to adopt to that? No. So it's going to take time.
That's a good point. Has there been any talk that you've heard of, or any, I guess, speculation on the U.S. taking away paper money?
Again, that's hard, because unless you go to a worldwide currency, I mean, you have exchanges, right? Cash is king, right? People, at certain times that's true. Sometimes it's not true. But for the most part, like, some people they want to deal in cash. And what's nice about cash is, right, if I give you $1, you have $1. If I go online and Cash App you something, right, and say it's fraud, and I can get my money back. I mean, people get scammed all the time with digital currencies.
Yeah.
So, what does that look like long term? I mean, again, regulations and protections for people, because you can do so much digitally. Whereas if I have hard actual money, right, I have that money. You can't take that away from me.
Yeah. The one thing I think, one big advantage that everybody talks about with digital currency is how fast it is to transfer, versus trying to do like a bank wire or whatnot, and how much money you can transfer at one time through it. Because isn't there certain like rules and laws with banks transferring, especially overseas, stuff like that?
So any transaction you do over $10,000 in a bank, they have to notate it because of money laundering rules. So to prevent money laundering, they have to say, okay, so even if I were to give you, Ryan, $10,000, right, they would be like, Josh is giving Ryan $10,000, you know, and they have to know where this money came from, what's the relationship.
What account it came from, where it went. Yeah, if you just walk in and put 10 grand, that's a whole nother. Now you got, what is it, a SAR that somebody has to fill out, and all these forms that the government wants to confirm. Hey, where did you get this money?
Yeah, because if I'm not on the, you know, if my taxes show that, hey, my income is minimal, like where did Josh get $10,000 from, and why is he giving it to Ryan? Right? What's going on here? What's that relationship there? So, you know, yes, the speed of transactions is nice, but you know, again, these higher levels, and again, that's another reason they're trying to regulate it, is to prevent, you know, fraudulent activity, money laundering activity between, you know, whoever it's between.
There's a lot of companies starting to adopt taking it though, accepting it for payment and stuff like that. I've heard, you know, real estate deals, car deals, dealerships, different businesses that are accepting Bitcoin. So I'm a firm believer that I think eventually we're going to go that route, but you know, who knows? So I would love to bring in the expert and see what his opinion is.
I'm curious.
Yeah, because they've dug into it so much more than we have. They probably know a couple more things than we have. And
I have a very adverse perception of it.
Yeah.
Just because I grew up in the world where, I'd rather have a little brick of gold.
Yeah.
And some cash that I can touch, that I can take with me. Because money that's on a computer, I don't know if it's real.
Right.
Yeah. And that's just me. That's my generation.
Mm-hmm. It's just zeros and ones. It's in an algorithm. It's in a program. And then what happens if you can't access it? You hear these guys, I had X amount of Bitcoin on a thumb drive and I lost it. Or
what's that guy that lost $950 million in a junkyard and he can't find it? It was an article he just gave up after 12 years of looking for it.
Or you forget your password, right? And there was one I saw this guy and it took him forever and he finally cracked his password and got into his wallet. But I mean, those are, they're protections, but they can also prevent you from accessing your own money. Whereas you have gold, right? You have actual dollars, like that. People can't take that away from you. And I actually know a guy who has gold bricks in his safe. Like that's what, that's how he feels comfortable with holding his money, right? In actual gold. Every year he buys more gold and more gold.
Gold's doing good right now too.
I remember when gold was $800 bucks an ounce. That was a while back.
Yeah, it's quadrupled since then, right? Do you know Robert Kiyosaki? You know him, right? Yeah. He always preaches a firm believer of investing in real estate versus the stock market because it's something that you can actually physically see and touch. Is tangible.
Yeah.
So some people just have that perception. I mean, I think it's a good point. I try to see both sides of it. I think from my experience, real estate's one of the most solid assets to invest in.
Here's my
criticism.
If you're doing
it right.
Here's my criticism about real estate.
You can't liquidate
buy
it
something,
fast.
and it's very hard to get your money out. I mean, we talked about it last week. We bought a property at a very low price, put a very little bit amount of money in it, and instead of cashing out on a loan and avoiding capital gains, we sold it.
Yeah.
And we did it twice, and I regret selling it because there are products out there that would have allowed us to take a loan against it, use that money for something else, pay ourselves back, and we would have still held on to that collateral. Mm-hmm. That would have been generating 6 to 8% revenue growth.
Something, yeah.
So I think what makes me nervous about real estate is that it is very hard to get your money out. The government in Texas has so many restrictions on borrowing against your own home. You're not allowed to borrow all your money. Yeah. You're only allowed to borrow 80%.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of restrictions about it that I think if you don't diversify, it is not the right only plan.
It's a good point.
It's a good plan. It's a safe plan, but it shouldn't be the only plan.
And at the end of the day, I think investing in yourself and your education is just the best thing that you can ever do because knowledge is power, right? And if you invest in yourself and your business or whatever, I think we're seeing a whole bunch of new people going into business somehow, some way. whether it be like OnlyFans or something online, the e-commerce stores, people are figuring it out. Like, hey, I need to do my own thing and make my own money. And that's a good time to talk to you or a tax strategist or one of us about investing in real estate. I mean, it's happening. You're seeing more and more of that.
Well, and I think that's where you need to have a good network of people that you can rely on and professionals, right? If I, want to add to my real estate portfolio, like I'm talking to Ryan, like I don't have time to look for deals. I don't have time to, do all, let's say we do a fix and flip. I don't have time to go there and, fix this or
check
that.
the house every day.
Yeah, I don't care what color the paint is. Like that's what I got Ryan for, and Ryan has people that he uses, right, to do those things because he doesn't have time to do it all. And so that's where if you have a good team around you that you can rely on, that can really again maximize your time, right, to be able to not make mistakes. I think it's something like 92% of people that get into real estate lose money their first deal that they try to do because they don't know it, right? Or it takes them more time, and then they're not taking all the tax advantages. If you can set things up the right way and you have that network, yeah, you're gonna do really well. But it's not everyone's looking for a get rich quick, and I don't want to call them schemes, but strategies. And it's like there's nothing quick about it. Well, unless you get lucky.
On social media, everybody posts results, right?
So
they see the results, they think it's something simple, but it's...
So that's the other thing.
It's a lot.
You see tough. These guys that are like, oh, I made this much money last week. And I'm like, well, how much did you lose the week before? Right? It's like, yeah, you made $100 grand.
Or how much did it cost to make that much money?
You made $100 grand, but it cost you 99, right? You made $1,000 profit, right? I went to a thing one time and it was this couple and they're starting their real estate journey and they were like, oh yeah, we're cash flowing 300. I was like, hey, 300,000. They're like 300 a month. I was like, all right, that doesn't seem like it's worth my time and effort to do all that you're doing just to do that. Like I'd rather just invest passively, right? And you can get into syndicates and things like that where I'm just like, like you're the experts, here's my money and I'm going to get this amount of return. Cool. Like I give it to you and I'm done. My job is done. I don't have to worry about all the other things. I let you worry about that, right? And then I can get my return and I can focus on the things that I either enjoy or I'm an expert at and that I want to do and still grow my money, right, the way I want to grow it, but not have to really, extend myself beyond my time or my abilities.
And we were talking earlier about all the different clientele or clients or customers that come to you and they just have a conversation with you, whether they're 25 or 50 or 40. Your tax advice is going to be way different to someone that's 25 versus 50 or 40. What would be your advice to some people that are getting into investing later on, like 40 or 50? Do you have any advice from them or for them versus the 25-year-old, the 20-year-old?
Again, it's situation by situation. And so a lot of what I focus on, a lot of the investing we do is long-term investing. Most of it is geared towards retirement because that's one of, not everyone's, but most people's biggest concern, especially as you get into your, late 30s, 40s, 50s. Like, when you're in your 20s, you're like, oh, I'm going to live forever and retirement's so far away. And then you're like, hey, I'm 10 years, 15 years, 20 years from retirement. Now we got to get serious about things, right? So it just depends on what they're trying to do and then what they're comfortable doing, right? If you're not comfortable being fully invested in the market, then why am I going to tell you to be fully invested in the market? I'll show you some strategies and I'll show you why, hey, maybe we do need to take more risks than you really want to. But if we do this the right way, right, we can get you to your goal. And it's not, and that word risk is interesting because, my dad told me, a few months ago, he was like, I want the riskiest investment that you have. And I'm like, you want the riskiest, right? Because he wants to, he wants his money to grow.
Largest return.
So I go, all right, here's the riskiest thing you can do. You can give me all your money and I'll go to Vegas and we'll see what I come back with. And he was like, I don't want that. I was like, then you don't know what you're saying. I was like, what you want is you want to be aggressive with your money, right? Now we can take risk and be aggressive, but let's take calculated risk, right? I'm not going to put all your money into this company that no one's ever heard of because they're up and coming, right? I'm going to spread your money across the most appropriate ways, the ways you like. I have, again, I have people in energy and they're like, I want more oil and gas in my portfolio. Great. There's a fund for that. We can put you in there. I had a nurse. She's like, I want more healthcare in my portfolio. Great. Let's get you some more healthcare in your portfolio. We can customize it to what you want, but also like balancing it out with what you need or what's been proven.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and again, that's different for all kinds of people. Like I'm not going to bring a portfolio to the table and say, you should invest in this. Do I use that as a guide? Yeah. But depending on the conversation, the person, we're going to dial some stuff down. We're going to take some things out. We're going to add some things in just to make sure that we're on track with your goals and you're comfortable with it.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah, and then again, the rules are different from person to person, right? Depending on your age, you might be able to contribute more. You might be able to get certain tax breaks, tax cuts, depending on if it's real estate, if it's a business, how you have your stuff structured, you can do different things.
Are there like common myths or bad advice you hear when you meet with people that they're getting from their parents or uncle or somebody?
Yeah, so, and I kind of go back to where you talked about paying off your home, right? Like back in the day when interest rates were double digits, right? 12, 15, I think someone told me one time.
18%.
Yeah, I heard that and I was like, I can't imagine paying 18% on a mortgage. So at the time, did that make sense to pay more and pay your home off sooner? Yeah, probably, because you don't want to have an 18% note. But nowadays, and it's funny because people are not happy with interest rates, and I'm like, historically, we're pretty low interest rate environments. And at the beginning of the 2000s, these were great rates.
In 01, I bought my house at 8.5.
Yeah, and you probably thought that was a good deal.
And I got a good deal.
Yeah.
And then in 07, I bought my second house, and I was doing a happy dance with a 6.5.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and everybody's hearing probably from just about every lender out there that rates are like in the 7s right now, but you're doing rates is still in the 6s and 5s.
I'm doing 5s and 6s.
Yeah.
And that's still great. And
I know.
I got fortunate because my parents bought a home and I bought their home. And this was in 2019. They got theirs at the beginning of 2019. I got mine in the fall of 2019. So first off, before the big run with COVID where all the home prices went up, and then I got a call from my lender that they had sold my mortgage to another company. And they're like, we're going to give you a rate reduction. I'm like, why are you going to lower my rates? They're like, well, you're probably going to refi and go somewhere else. Great. My rate's below 3%.
Hell yeah.
Am I in a hurry to sell out, pay off my home? No. Why? Because even if I wanted to take no risk, I can put my money in a vehicle that's getting me above 4%.
Easy.
So if I'm making money at over 4%, my note is below 3%.
It's free money.
I could pay off my home even sooner than paying extra to my mortgage by growing my money. And then once that equilibrium point hits, then I just take my money out and pay off my mortgage in one fell swoop. I can probably pay it off 5-10 years sooner than if I just paid extra to my mortgage.
Yep.
So that's, again, what we do with our clients. We say, hey, what are your rates? Like, what are you looking at? How you want to invest it? If I can show you a strategy where we can do what you want to do, but do it sooner, wouldn't you want to see that? Of course you would want to see that, right? There's so many options out there people don't know. And that's the other thing we ask them. Well, what have you looked at? What do you like? What do you don't like? And a lot of people are like, well, I only looked at this because this is what my parents told them. And that's what their parents told them.
Yeah.
So now you're getting advice 2 or 3 generations down where
The entire climate was different.
yeah,
It's way different now.
the 80s was crazy, the 70s, 60s, 50s. You go all the way back. It's totally. Would you take advice from someone from the 1920s, 100-year-old advice? But people are doing it because they've learned it throughout the generations.
Passed down yeah.
So this is where, and this is one thing, in our Hispanic community, we don't talk about life and death. We don't talk about money. Those are taboo topics. And it's really sad because you see people and they're doing plate sales, GoFundMe's, when it's like, if you would have had a conversation with a professional, you could have protected yourself. And instead of now your family is mourning you and having to raise money just to give you hopefully a decent funeral, like, no, we should have talked about this years ago.
Some of those policies are really not that expensive at
no,
all.
especially if
you
you're
do like a term.
And I get calls, and this isn't a hey everyone buy life insurance for me. You should look into it. Depending on your situation, there's different kinds. But I get calls from people, and they're like, I need to get some life insurance. Okay, great. Well, they're in their 60s, they're in their 70s. They want to have something because they didn't do planning, but they have this condition and that condition. And I'm like, you're uninsurable. And if we can get you insured, what you're going to pay if you live a long time, then longer than you think, you're going to pay more into it than just saving your money, right? Oh, I want a $10,000 policy. It's going to cost you X amount of dollars. If you live 7 years, you would have paid $12,000 into it, right? Like,
Sheesh.
does that make sense? Like, why would you pay more for something when you could do a different strategy?
Yeah.
So doing planning early, and like I said, that 1-year-old that I have, you know, that amount that he's going to have over time, if even he doesn't touch that money and it goes to his kids, how much wealth is he passing on?
Yeah, he's going to be set. I want to go back to real estate real quick, because talking about those low rates, that's one reason why the market's still pretty steady, because some of these sellers don't really have to sell. They want
Right.
to sell, but they're not really going to give you like too much off or discount the house too much, because they're sitting at a good rate. They know they're going to have to take a higher rate.
Yeah.
So there's actually the highest number of delistings right now. Sellers just taking their house off the market.
Yeah.
So that's keeping the market competitive too. People need to understand that. That's why you're not seeing huge drops right now. But buyers are still getting great deals, as we know.
Yeah.
And like I said, like, I'm not in a rush to pay off my mortgage. Even if I were to buy a new home, I'm not selling my current home. I'm going to rent it out because
Might as well.
what I'm paying, you know, my mortgage is less than $1,500 a month. I can it's a 4-bedroom. I could easily rent that out for $2,000.
When your mortgage is below the inflation rate,
Yeah.
I mean, why would you pay it?
Yeah.
There's a guy that I know, and he's almost done paying off his mortgage. His mortgage is like $800 a month, and I'm just like, that's insane. But he bought his house like almost 30 years ago, right? And that's just unheard of now. I mean, if you brought that to the table for someone, people would buy it all day, right? But now they're paying 4 times that, 3 to 4 times that, easy.
If the income was also much lower when he was paying $800 a month.
True,
Yeah.
true, but still, I mean, just, you know, perspective-wise, it's like, man, like, inflation, especially these last, since COVID, is really
One thing
done
that's
a
really
number.
killing everybody is insurance, whether it's car insurance or
Car and home.
Yeah.
That's just brutal.
Yeah, it's crazy right now. That's, you see the percentages on those. It's kind of crazy.
And what's disappointing as a consumer is all these claims that have happened for these natural disasters. You're helping that company pay out those claims, so everyone's rates go up, right?
Yeah.
You know, I'm in the leadership lab with the Metro San Antonio Chamber, and we did an exercise, and we were all assigned a district. So I was assigned to District 8, which is, you know, the medical center up I-10, La Cantera, the Rim, and we had to propose how to allocate $100 million, right, in the city budget. And one of our proposals was the Rim in La Cantera, right? All the break-ins that happen there, especially if you have like a truck, you know, a nice vehicle where cars get stolen there. If you were to help remedy that situation, you're talking hundreds of millions of dollars, not only in claims that insurance companies are paying out, but lower rates for people. Just that one area of town, just for break-ins and thefts. So stuff that's happening all over town, natural disasters, I mean, everyone's paying for it, and it's putting a strain on a lot of people, which is very unfortunate.
Well, I mean, as you know, I'm a part owner of a bar, and you see that inflation really hitting people. I mean, all the bars around us are slowing down.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's tough. People always want to go have fun and get a relief, have a drink, chill, and go out. But it's becoming harder and harder for people to do that, especially on a consistent basis, because inflation's killing people.
Yeah, that expendable income is not there anymore. Like, people just can't afford to go. And you know, before, if I spent $100 going out, like, man, we had a night, right?
Yeah.
And now you go somewhere, and that's like the first round is like $100. I went to Nashville last year. I bought a round of shots and drinks, and it was like $150. And I was like, I'm not buying any more rounds. Like, that was it.
Well, it's just look at one city to the next, right? So San Antonio, I could go have some beers, go hang out with the guys, maybe even get a little snack, and $50-$60 if it's just me.
Yeah.
But if I go right down the road to Austin, that's $150.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the same amount of drinks, same amount of food.
Yeah.
It's a bizarre little world that we're dealing with all the inflation. To me, it really is, where are you at with your spending and your investing?
Yeah.
And what are you going to do about it? Because if you're just doing the same thing and you're expecting something different, that's not going to work.
Yeah. It all goes back to budgeting, right? Budgeting, talking to a financial advisor or a life coach or a tax strategist, and educating yourself, I think.
Well, I think I told you this story once. It was when I was brand new to mortgage. This man and this woman come into my office, and I see them pull up in a brand new Cadillac Escalade. And so they want to buy this $600,000, $800,000 house back then. And I said, hey, look, let's look at your income. Everything looked good until I looked at their debts. They were each driving $1,500 Cadillac Escalades.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, guys, your $3,000 is wiping out your buying power.
Yeah.
I said, I can put you in a $400,000 home. And the husband and the wife are like, well, why would we want to live like that? That's below where we should live. And I said, just get rid of one Escalade. And the first thing the man said is, no, why would I do that? We're living with my mom and dad. You're 40 years old living with your mom and dad, and you drive Escalades and you don't own a home?
Right.
Okay. Have a good day.
Yeah. No, and I see that a lot, and you know, there's people that you talk to and they make good money, and then when you get to their debt, you're like, man, you have a lot of debt you need to pay off, whether it's credit cards.
We talked about
loans.
that too. Credit cards are at all-time highs right now.
Oh, yeah.
Student loans, all that stuff, man. It's insane. I think we've been here like over an hour for sure. probably an hour and a half. The production crew is probably tired of hearing us.
They might be hungry.
Yeah. So, Josh, I appreciate you coming out
Yeah.
and talking to us for a bit, man. I think we learned a lot, and I think.
Well, I definitely need to sit down and meet with you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
my wife. Yeah.
So one thing I think a good takeaway for a lot of people is like talk to a professional, right? Whether it's me, great, I'll talk to you. If not, someone you know and trust. But save early and often and live below your means. If you can do that, you'll be fine. I have clients that have done that, and I love those conversations more than others, right? Where I'm like, oh, look, you're never going to have less than $100,000 a year. And they spend $50,000 a year. Like you're
you're not
going to
like talking to me because I was that risky taker, but I also know that I'm probably going to be working till I'm 75, and I'm okay with that.
Well, and that's the thing. And that's the thing I talk to clients too. Is I have people that want to retire early, and I have people that say I'm never going to retire, and it's like they're like, I like working.
I love working. Yeah.
If you're going to work in your, even in your 60s and your 70s, it's because you want to work, right? It's a lot easier getting out of bed because you're like, I get to go to work instead of I have to go to work.
Well, a friend of mine she made fun of me. She says, Carlos, you really don't have to work. You're retired. And I said, what do you mean I'm retired? She goes, you do what you want.
Yeah.
You do when you want to do it.
Yeah.
And you work as much as you want to. She goes, guess what? You're retired.
Yeah.
And that's a hard word to digest for me, just because our family has always been workaholics. I mean, my dad's 82. He still works. My mom, she's 90. She just quit working a few years ago. So that concept of not working, at least not generating some sort of revenue, I don't think I'll ever be able to do it.
As long as you're doing what you want to do, then there's no problem with that. There really isn't. And you know what? It'll probably allow you to live longer, keep you active, keep your brain sharp.
100%.
My grandfather lived to 97.
Stay active as long as you're staying active.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my grandfather lived to 97. He only stopped working because just age caught up with him, right? But he worked until 96. He drove until 96. Thankfully, never got into a car accident.
Right.
Wow.
But he did all the things the doctor said. You eat well, right? Exercise. He always, took walks as he got older. He would have to take walks. Couldn't do all the athletic things he liked to do.
Play golf.
He played golf. He was a great golfer, and he picked it up later in life. But always read the newspaper. He would watch TV, but he watched historical stuff.
He kept his brain and his mind and his body active. Yeah.
And he lived
Absolutely.
a great life. And so, that's what you see with people is you get to retirement and they think, I don't have to do anything. And then those are the people that pass away a lot younger than they should. Mm-hmm. So as long as you're staying active, keeping your mind sharp, doing what you like to do, and there's nothing wrong with continuing to generate money.
Yeah.
If it's what you want to do. And that's what we talk with our clients about. What is it that you want to do? And here's how we're going to get you there. And so, whatever I can do to make people's lives easier, to make them more fulfilling, that's the real goal here. I always say it's at the end of the day when I retire, right? And when I say I'm probably kind of like, I'm like still probably not going to be retired. Still going to have clients that I'm helping out with, but not working the day to day like I am. At the end of the day, the number that I'm going to really see if I had a successful career isn't how much money is in my bank. It's how many people did I help out?
No, agreed.
And how many lives did I change? And I think, a lot of people want to change the world. And it's like, maybe I can't change the whole world, but can I change the world that I live in, right?
Yeah.
People that I know, change their worlds. You let them do what they
Well,
want.
and I'm sure you're meeting with a lot of childhood friends or
Yeah.
friends of your parents or whatnot. Like, you are helping people for sure.
When I get that call, hey, can you talk to this person, that person? Can you talk to my son? Can you talk to my mom? I have someone that, they're about to retire. They don't know what to do. I love getting those calls because that's another person I get to help. And then to be able, it's so great seeing just that light bulb go off and then people understanding. I get this question a lot. Do I have enough? Can I retire? And when I can show them, you have the assets you need, we just need to reposition them this way and you can have what you want, and just seeing that sense of relief, right? Like, oh, okay, I didn't just work my whole life for nothing, or I don't have to continue to work. Sometimes you tell people, hey, you can actually retire right now if you want to. I want to work another 5 years. Great. Like, retirement's going to look even better for you. And then probably then they're still not going to retire. But, right, that's the option they have. Well,
awesome, man. I think we had a great conversation.
I'm glad that we met. Appreciate you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Happy to help out. It's and the education piece, especially the younger generations, helping them to just understand money just isn't, it buys you things, but to be responsible with it and to know how it works.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I close X number of deals every month, and there are so many of those people that are first-time home buyers. Just closed a deal for a 23-year-old Marine. He's definitely somebody I want to connect with you. All of these people that I talk to every month, they need help.
Definitely.
Yeah, everyone needs help.
If you want to get Josh's contact, you reach out to me, Carlos. I'll have him tagged for sure in the videos, and have his information on there. But other than that, man, we're gonna sign off. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.